The Rainbow Magic Fairy series was so popular they did another set of 7 books. The weird part is that they kept the name Rainbow Magic, even though all the new books are about weather fairies. Yes, I know, Weather Magic Fairies isn't a very catchy title, but why put the Rainbow Fairies in the title of every single book when they never appear again?
Argofunk Book Review, Argofunk Book Review.
Kirsty lives in the village of Weatherbury, which is a pretty convenient name. Things get weird when it starts snowing in summer, and Kirsty's snow globe starts to move on its own. It turns her into a fairy and takes her to fairyland. Rachel's there too. The king and queen say they need the girls' help again. This time, Jack Frost has gone after the weather fairies. Kind of. In fairyland, the weather is controlled by a magic rooster named Doodle. Doodle decides what the weather will be today, and he uses his tail feathers to make it so. There's actually no reason for the weather fairies to exist, if you think about it. Doodle does all the work. It's certainly nice of the weather fairies to help Doodle out, but he's still more important than all of them put together. Jack Frost's goblins stole the 7 weather feathers. Now they're hiding in Weatherbury. Wow, what a coincidence! They're in Kirsty's town! Doodle is now a regular weather vane, and Kirsty's dad has Doodle on their house. Another huge coincidence! Wow, Doodle is right in Kirsty's house! The girls are introduced to the weather fairies, and by that I mean the king reads off a list of their names. That totally counts as meeting someone and becoming best friends with them. At this point, the book addresses 2 problems with the previous series. Number 1, the magical items thing was stupid and poorly executed. From now on, the girls will have lockets filled with fairy dust, which turns them into fairies. Number 2, it was stupid that the goblins were such a big threat when they're less than a foot tall. That's like somebody being scared of bunny rabbits. So, now Jack Frost has made the goblins as tall as the girls' shoulders. He would have made the goblins bigger, but the law in Fairyland says nothing can be taller than the castle. And Jack Frost doesn't want to break the law? That doesn't make sense. He's a kidnapping villain. Why does he follow the law? If Jack has to follow the law, just make a law saying he can't harm any of the fairies. That would save so much trouble. Oh, and they also changed it so the goblins don't turn things into ice anymore. We never get told about this, it just stops happening and everybody pretends the goblins never had ice powers to begin with. Rachel comes to stay with Kirsty for a week. A neighbor says the snow is terrible on her hill, so they assume the goblin is there. Crystal the snow fairy shows up, and the girls are all, "Wow, it's a fairy! How magical! We totally weren't talking to you in the previous chapter." Walking uphill in the snow is not fun, so they turn into fairies and fly. Sure enough, the goblin with the snow feather is there, hiding in a house. He's miserable because he hates the cold and snow. Then what is he doing with the snow feather? If you hate snow, stop making it snow! Seriously, this should not be a problem. Kirsty wraps up a pair of her father's slippers and pretends it's a present for the goblin. The goblin takes the present. Rachel and Crystal are hiding inside the shoebox. They steal the snow feather while the goblin is asleep. The goblin wakes up when Rachel opens the window to go outside. Why didn't she go out the front door like a normal person? The goblin tries to chase after them, but he trips and rolls downhill. Crystal uses the snow feather to get rid of the snow, and they give the feather to Doodle, who comes to life for a second and says, "Beware!" That's an ominous note to end the book on. The end. Post-book follow-up. One thing you'll notice right away is that the illustrations in this series are much better than in the original Rainbow Magic series. It's like the illustrator learned how many people are reading these things, so they put a lot more effort into it. I'm guessing the authors also put more effort into the series, because they went out of their way to address some of the problems of the first series. Or they're just setting up for the new series formula. There was some variety to the books in the first series. Say goodbye to that. We're not going to have any variety anymore. It is strictly formula from here on out. Now with Rainbow Magic, the first and last books of a series always tend to be good because those are the ones that break the formula. You get 1 to 2 chapters of the girls in Fairyland, and you can see that in this book. Half of the book takes place in Fairyland, half of it is defeating the goblin at home. It's sort of like you're getting 2 books in one, so that was good. The pacing was decent. Defeating the goblin with a Trojan horse is a perfectly acceptable way to resolve the problem. I give Rainbow Magic number 8, Crystal the Snow Fairy, a thumbs up.